Hey guys, welcome to Pockets Pro Sports. I'm here with Jake McCartney, who's just taken out the Ultimate Pool Series event number 2. How are you, mate?
Good, buddy. Very well. Very happy man.
Yeah, I can imagine you'd be happy. You're still suffering from the hangover. We did try getting you yesterday, but still partying.
Mate, that win was probably, no, it is the best win of my career, and the hangover that come with it is probably the best one I've had in my career also.
So how are you feeling? How did it actually feel to win the event?
Mate, I'm still pinching myself. It just seems a little surreal. Obviously, I made the big commitment to come over for 6 months. To be fair, 32 of the world's best got invited. I landed 2 weeks ago. I put in a lot of time when I got here with a lot of the Lee Kendall, land by some of the world's best that were here. I felt good going into the tournament. Obviously there was I probably haven't felt pressure, or I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't a little nervous. I know back home I've always said pressure's for tyres, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little bit out there, especially on the TV stage. It's something that we don't have back home, and it's a first for me, but I have ways to sort of stay, keep myself calm under the big occasions, and, I sort of played well, overall. There's a couple little things, just table knowledge that I still need to just learn over here, and I do have a bit of room for improvement, but mate, honestly, it's the best win of my career, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, well, I think obviously for an Aussie, I think that's the best I've ever seen any Aussie play ever. It was just rack, ran after rack, ran. How is it transitioning to those tables, and it's like a 30-second shot clock? How'd you feel?
Yeah, obviously the Supreme tables, in my personal opinion, they're awesome to play. The conditions here are the best I've ever played on. Everything, I just cannot fault the tables, the setup. I know it's a totally different setup as far as our tables back home. Excuse me. These ones here, they're all machine done. They're all very consistent. Back home, a lot of ours, man-mates, you always do have these little slight variances in them. But at the end of the day, these were just, absolutely superb to play on. As with Supreme, just with the sub, obviously the cloth's different. It's very grippy, it's very reactive, so you don't really need to be forcing, playing balls hard. It's just sort of all caress. Really soft shots, and yeah, mate, they're just awesome to play on.
Yeah. So right from the start, you could see the breaks were huge in this event, which is basically what I thought cost you the match against Gillespie, coming up dry a few times. What did you do different from there? How'd you bounce back, and what were your thoughts after that?
I personally thought I was just putting too much power into it. Back home, obviously, a bit bigger distance and the cloth's a bit heavier. You do have to give it a bit more power. Over here, after that match with Gillespie, I just said to myself, let's just try take a little less power off and just really concentrate on the timing and just looking after the white, like controlling the white ball. And instantly, I just sort of seen better results. And I did speak with a couple of guys over here. They said the same thing. Maybe just you were trying just, I was forcing the issue a bit. So it took a bit less power, more, concentrate on more of the timing. And, like I just said, instantly I was just getting better results, and, things went well.
Yeah, it seemed like you were breaking well after that match. What's the atmosphere like over there in one of their pool series?
Mate, it's phenomenal. On the Saturday, you had obviously 32 pros playing in the 2 events, and then you had 128 amateurs playing in their 2 events. Mate, the atmosphere on the Saturday, it was crazy. And obviously Declan Brennan, who won the other pro event, he had 20 Irish lads that come over with him. And I don't know if you've ever sort of partied with the Irish lads, but if there's 20 of them, it sounds like there's 100. Excuse me. And there's a lot of people there. Obviously a lot of the players over here have their supporters, backers, sponsors. So there's a lot of people there. There was a lot of noise, but mate, it was really, really, really good atmosphere. And it was really good to be a part of.
Yeah. Could you Could you imagine winning it in your first event, such to say? You're gone over there for 6 months. Did you think you'd go this far?
No, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't. That doesn't mean that I'm not confident or I didn't. Yeah, I didn't think I could go far, but just obviously with the preparation coming from Australia, I hadn't had a lot of table time like on the Supreme. I got here. You had to set my body clock for the first week. It took me a little while to adjust. Normally, other times I've been here, I could adjust quite quickly. This time around, it just wasn't the case. It took me a week. Just waking up just at 3 a.m. and I couldn't get to sleep till midnight. So I had to just, do things to adjust to that. Mick Hill, I know you did say in commentary, he thought I'd go well over here, but not so early. And, I agree with it. I'd be lying to say, I thought I'd come over here in the first event. I'd win it. I'm going to take it. Obviously, I'm going to take it in my stride. And I just played well. At the end of the day, I have just a really big theory with myself. I just want a shot in a frame of bull. Yeah. At the end of the day, you've got 32 professionals. A lot of people are just breaking, running rap, as they call it over here, breaking dish. And I just wanted a shot. And at the end of the day, if I get a shot, I just want to do everything within my ability to win that frame. I don't worry about the score. I just take it frame by frame, ball by ball. And it's very easy to play the opponent. You got your Mick Hill, your Chris, you basically just got multiple world champions over here that have done it on the biggest occasions multiple times. And I just kept telling myself, regardless of what I play, if I get a shot, just everything, in my power to win the frame. And even in the final against Shane Thompson, he's one of England's best also. Been the England A team and, played won multiple world teams titles, multiple, major events. And I was nervous in the final. The back arm, it was a bit shaky, just on a couple of shots. And, I just know sort of how to stay calm. I can keep myself pretty calm. And in the day, I just said, right, if I get a shot, do everything I possibly can. And, mate.
Yeah.
So, I got the job done.
That's it. And you've got quite a large number of backing here in Australia. I myself stayed up to watch the final. You had multiple people. How did that feel, knowing that you had all this backing back home?
Mate, it's a massive driving force for me over here. The amount of messages I've had, hundreds of messages, not just from back home, mate, around the world. I've had messages from people I went to school with that are living over in Canada that tuned in over in America. Like the amount of messages I've just had from all over the world, it's been crazy. And, it's a massive driving force, just that much love and support. And I want to do, obviously, everyone proud back home, put this game on the map. I'm just really proud to be an Aussie right now over here. And I can't thank all you guys, for the love and support back home. It really does mean a lot. I really do mean that from the bottom of my little heart. And, as from tomorrow, basically, I'm back on the practice table. There's still room for improvement, I think. And there's a lot of table knowledge, but job's not done. There's another 3 events, one in September, one in October, one in November. And, I'll be silly not to take, full advantage of the calibre of player that's here, not to be playing with them every day. And as I just said, from tomorrow, it's basically about the practice table. And a lot of people back home would know my theory. It's 5 by 5 by 5. Or if you don't know, it's 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. Obviously, I don't have 5 years over here, but I'm just putting it down to a minimum 5 hours a day practice. And I probably doubled that over the last week before the weekend. I've never played so much pool where I can honestly say at the end of the day, bottom of my back was hurting. I cramped up in my hand, which I've never had before in my life. And that's probably just not fit or match fit, however you want to look at it. But you have to put in this time to compete with these guys, at this level. I'm kidding myself if I think I can get away with it without putting the time in.
Yeah, it's obviously paying dividends because here we are now. You've held the trophy up and you've got to party and now back to work tomorrow.
Yeah, speaking of the devil here, that weighs a ton, but that's the good one there.
There it is.
The best win of my career so far. But yeah, you're right. Obviously, there's 6 events over 3 weekends. That's 6 events. left me personally. So I'm not going to get complacent. Just think that you've won one. That you're going to win another one, mate. I'm going to put in a lot of hard work. And I think the 15th of September, the next event does start. Yeah. So until then, it's just basically back to the practice table and put the hard yards in.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that Jordan Church match. You were 3-1 up, I believe. You've went to play the black into the bottom right pocket, and it's jawed. And then from there, he's done a sickening out. And it seemed like the rub of the green has turned, and he ended up pulling it back to 3-all. What was running through your mind? How'd you get out of that?
I know I've seen Jordan Church play a lot. I've played with him obviously back in the juniors. I've seen him, and when I missed that black, which was a poor shot, I'd accepted I'd lost the frame. If there's one bloke in that room I thought I'd get them, it was Jordan Church. And I said to myself, I'm like, right, you've just lost his frame, get over it. I sat in my chair, and that's exactly my first thought. I just went, right, you've missed the black, it was a poor shot. I'd accepted the loss of the frame. But there and then, as soon as I'd done that, you have to get over it. I basically, right, it's 3-2. Let's just move on. You get a regroup and go again. You can't lose your head, especially over here in these short and excuse me. With the race to 7s in the first event, and then race to 6 in the second event, they are short races with these guys. Everybody here can literally break and run rack after rack. So if you do make a mistake, you can't lose your head. You can't afford to. You just have to build a bridge, get over it there, and then move on to the next frame. For me personally, doing that, and when I did miss that black, as I'm sure people have, in everyone's career, when you do miss a ball like that, and sometimes it has cost you the match, and sometimes it's run through my head where, I've thought about javelin McHugh across the room, but you can't do that, obviously. But you have to get over it. For me to do that, there's certain things that I think of, it just keeps me calm, and, you got to regroup, refocus, and just move on to the next frame. And he's played it crazy out, which it's probably not a high percentage. Majority of people I would never take that on. It's just a crazy out. But that's what these guys are capable of doing. So, but yeah, I was happy. I was able to, maintain focus, concentrate, and get the job done. And played it. I think I went 5-4 down off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think I broke, or he broke, and I think I went out, and then I broke it 5-all, and then went out. So, I was really happy with that victory, obviously.
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk over here, especially during that out, that probably could have played a bit of a safety earlier on. I think he had the 2 reds left, and he could have played a bit of a safety. Do you think that that's probably why this rule set suits better, considering that we play world rules over here, so we play a bit more safety game, and everyone over there was just going for gold?
Mate, here's my theory with this rule set. From a viewing point of view, this is what you want to be watching. You want to be watching people break running out, or break dishing, whatever you want to call it. As far as a viewing, a selling point, this is what you want to watch. I haven't heard, as far as one person has said to me, that wasn't a pleasure to watch any of the matches, any of the pros. At the end of the day, when I wasn't playing, I was back in the room. Obviously, I have free sports here in the UK. I was just watching it, and just as far as from a spectacle point of view, I think it is the best rule set. I would love for this to be the future. I know back home, this may take 10 years, obviously, to filter the tables in and the rule set. But believe me, I think it's the way of the future. And with what Ultimate Pool is doing, this is just the tip of the iceberg for them. And everybody's, they do know the WEPF, the World Eight Ball Federation. We're affiliated with them, with the AEBF. They're sponsoring them. Now, I'm not saying this rule set's just going to take over. It's not. But I think if this game is going to grow and it's going to go mainstream, if you're going to sell it to the public, I think this is the best rule set. 2 shots, I love. It is a game I've always played back home. It is, obviously very heavily dominated back home. Outside of Australia, 2-shot doesn't really exist here anymore. And you've seen the calibre of player that has just played in this weekend, and the guys that have come back to play this game, this rule set has enticed them. It's just a great game to play. It's quick. The tactical side's obviously, it's aggressive. It's just change the turn. Two shots, it's a bit more of a playing a game of chess, if you like, on a pool table tactically, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think from a marketing point of view, selling, viewing point of view, what a rule set. Like, who doesn't like just watching people just run rack after rack after rack? And I'm sure I do. And the viewers, mate, they've loved the rule set. I haven't had one complaint yet as far as the rule set over here. So hopefully, people back home do enjoy it, and I do hope we can sort of embrace this rule set down the track and the tables, and mate, be a part of this, which I think is going to be massive worldwide.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's got a bit of a tennis feel about it. Holding the serve. In this instance, holding the break, I felt like holding the break was just absolutely huge. If you didn't get a ball off the break, just like you're in trouble straight away because the balls were just spreading like no tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. The break, even back home, I've always said I think the break's the most important shot of the frame. You need to be breaking well, controlling the wire, and ideally you want to get a ball, but you can increase your chances by potting a ball, with timing and hitting the break well. As in this short, as I was just saying, in this short format, you do need to be breaking well right from the start. And it's something before the next event I ain't going to put a lot of time into. I know I did break better in the second event. Just learnt from where I sort of went wrong against Scotty Gillespie, and yeah. So it is something I'm going to put a lot more time into, though, just to make sure I get it right. A lot of people do have breaking cues, and I have spoken with a lot of people over here just as their theory with it. A lot of people said, listen, we have a breaking cue because they don't want to, with their playing cue, they don't want to keep hitting it because obviously with the tips they use, they just sort of go to shape. So they like a breaking cue. Some people want a heavier cue. I spoke with Mick Hill was one of them. I spoke with a couple of guys about it, and they're like, listen, we'd rather just use our cues that we've always used, we feel good with, we know what we're doing. Everyone's got a different theory with it, and I'm not saying that breaking cue is right or wrong, but with my cue that I've used for 20 years and I feel comfortable with, I've just said this, I'm going to probably avoid the breaking cue. I'm just going to put some time into it. It's working for me forever and a day. I think just the conditions I just have to adapt to and make, some slight adjustments as far as with the Supreme tables. Yeah, I'll make these adjustments, but yeah, I'll just use my cue.
Yeah. So you've been one of TJ's biggest advisors with Pocket Sports in the upbringing of it. Always there to being a helping hand. Do you think that Pocket Sports has what it takes to ultimately get on the same level as Ultimate Pool in Australia?
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. When I get back home, obviously I'm going to come and see you guys. I know me and Tyus has spoken a lot, and I love what he's doing. It's only helping Q Sports in Australia. And I'm sure, you guys with Ultimate Pool is what they're doing. I'm pretty sure Titus might have ever spoken with a few of the guys, and they're openly, here to help and give advice. Mate, it's anything that basically is helping Q Sports, I'm behind. And you guys at Pockets, with his team, with the tournaments that are coming up, mate, I'm behind this 100%. And anything that I can help, give advice on, I will. As far as Ultimate Pool, on the world stage, I think if the rule set is going to be, endorsed back home and followed, it probably does have to start at the top over here at the world titles. Now, I don't know, whether that's going to happen next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I think it sort of has to filter down, the same as the tables, which, is a long thing. It's probably a long process. But at the end of the day, I know, Titus, you're getting in a couple of Supreme tables, and that's a lot of people back home haven't played on Supreme tables. Unless you've represented Australia or, in two-shot or blackball tables actually aren't the same either. But unless you've played on these tables, they are just so different. There are certain shots that you can play on these tables, you can't play on our tables back home, and vice versa. I think getting the tables into pockets and, just starting there, people actually have to play on them is a great start. It's a great thing for pockets. You start with 2 tables. Obviously, you have a tournament, which I'm sure will get a big following back home. You basically have your best players who all have their followers, and I really do hope people get behind you guys and what you're doing. Now, I certainly will be. When I get home, or even from here, following from here, I will be. And yeah, I really hope guys, you're doing a great job, and I do hope they support you.
Yeah. So you said that you were over there for 6 months. Is there any plan to stay over there longer, or you're looking to come back?
It's funny you say that. They already are asking me. I have probably a lot of decisions to make over the next 6 months. I have committed to them next season for this event. They don't have dates as yet. I'll know probably the next fortnight. They have meetings for it. But I probably can see myself over here. I will be coming home after this first 6 months. I will be coming back. I'm not sure when. But with their plans, they basically want to turn this into a tour. And I know I probably can explain this a little more now, the way the structure of the tournaments are. You literally have 32 players, excuse me, you have 32 pros that have been invited to be a part of this. Over this season events and the next season events, you have like a repechage, basically it's a ranking point system. So your worst 8 perform professionals will be replaced by your best 8 amateurs, over the 2 seasons, over all the events on their ranking system, which is basically turning into a world tour. And the beauty of it, with the pro event and the amateur event, none of the pros, there's prize money separate. So the amateurs basically none of the professionals can take the amateurs' money. It's a separate comp, and they have a chance, if they do really well in the amateur comp, to become a pro. So, mate, I don't know. I could end up spending a fair bit of time over here. Obviously, it's not a cheap exercise. Yes, I've won the first event, but it's going to cost me a lot of money. I will touch base on my sponsors and support back home shortly, but I probably can see myself spending quite a lot of time over here. And there's other tournaments as well outside of professional events. There is just literally events everywhere. There is good prize money. There's a lot of sponsorship opportunities over here as well. Don't worry, I'm sticking with the Aussies. I'm not going. I'm not leaving the. They can try and put the pommy in me, but mate, they can't take the Aussie out of me. So I'm Aussie through and through. But yeah, I might end up spending a fair bit of time over here. I've just sort of got to wait on some dates, have some meetings with some people over here, and then make some decisions for myself.
Yeah. Well, you obviously got out just in time. As soon as you left, we went back into lockdown, and here we are, still back in lockdown. But I couldn't imagine it would have been easy to get an exemption to actually leave Australia.
Mate, the month prior to me leaving was probably just one of the worst headaches I've had. Just what I had to do, and the COVID testing and all that was just irrelevant, but to get the paperwork together for timing, basically a flight got cancelled. Then I had a flight booked. I got to the airport, and a lot of people don't know this because I made a post when I was at the airport about my flight details, and I think it was on a Thursday night. I got to the airport. I was flying with Qatar Airways. My stopover was in Doha, and I got to the airport, went to the reception desk, and gave her all the paperwork. She said, "Sorry, sir, you can't fly." And my sort of jaw just hit the floor. I said, "What do you mean I can't fly?" She said, "Doha, she's gone to a red zone 72 hours before flying." She said, "You're offloaded, you're not flying." And she said, "Also, she has the paperwork that you've got. You need to get this and this also." And it all changed up. Obviously, every country has different restrictions. So flying with them, I had to get certain paperwork, and then I get offloaded. So I rang my travel agent. I turned my phone off because basically a lot of people back home thought I was on a plane, which I wasn't. I turned my phone off. I spoke with my agent. Said, "Mate, you're not going to believe it. I've just been offloaded." He said, "What? How? This can't be happening." The lady was really good at Qatar Airways. She actually told me, "Listen, you can't fly with us. basically because Doha is red, but she gave me some advice, which I forwarded on to my agent. So I ended up then rebooking the next day with Singapore Airlines because their country, as far as green zone, which Australia was as well, to the UK. So the UK wouldn't let me in unless my stopover was basically to a country with a green zone. You had green, amber, or red. So I had to rebook. So it turned me phone up for basically 48 hours. Prayed to God that everything wouldn't change as far as Australia, Singapore, anything like that. I had to get more paperwork. Man, I had to get like a solicitor to do things. There was just a lot of paperwork I had to do. And when Singapore Airlines got to the airport, man, it took me probably half an hour to check in. I had to go through just all the paperwork, contracts. There was everything. At the end of the day, when I left, I think it was the day after, or maybe the day that I landed in Heathrow. Singapore just stopped inbound flights from certain parts of Australia, and basically with stopping more and more flights. So, but I was lucky to be here. I was lucky to get here. Obviously, it did cost me a lot of money. With you had to book 2 flights, and I've got to wait a certain amount of time before I get a refund on the first flight. So, just to get it was a headache. Obviously, now that I'm here and I'm settled in and the body clock's good now, it just makes this victory even more sweeter.
Yeah. Well, I won't hold you too much longer. Just one last question. Any player that's looking to follow your footsteps, what advice could you give them?
Mate, practice. At the end of the day, I love this game. I know quite a few years ago, I was getting frustrated and I probably treated it like a bit of a chore. And then I just said, no, that's it, I'm done. I play pool because I love the game. I love the game. It's just very competitive. And this is how frustrating this game is. There's not another game or sport in the world where you can lose without participating in it. What I mean by that is somebody can break the balls, get a ball to break, and you cannot get a shot and lose. There's just no other sport or game in the world where that happens, which is just crazy. It's just a frustrating game, and I'm in love with it. I just love that. It's practice. And like I said, my theory earlier was 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. And that's what I've done as a kid. And not necessarily just playing against people. I think solo practice is really good, but you got to have a lot of self-discipline, dedication. At the end of the day, it's 7 balls in a black. It's pot position. It's mapping the out. You can learn a lot by watching, these pros. Like with this event, when I was sitting back here in my apartment just watching on TV, even now, just watching the pros, I was just still asking myself, right, they've broke the balls, they've got a ball. And obviously 30 seconds is a pretty quick shot clock, especially, if you're feeling the pressure and nerves. But I'm sitting on it and I'm watching the TV and I'm going, right, this is how I'd go game is identify my worst ball. This is how I'm going to get rid of it. This is how I'm going to map my out. Now, whether it's right or wrong, it's a bit irrelevant. If one of these better players goes about it in a better way than what I've seen, or an easier way, develop balls, it's not so much right or wrong. Take it on board, because the next time you go to the table, it's just giving you more options. Instead of having 1 or 2 options, potting it, you might have 3, 4, 5 options. Something. That's why I look at it. And for the kids or whoever in general, don't be afraid to ask, for advice. Myself, Robbo, the best players in the country, mate, we're all approachable. Ben Noonan, anyone. Don't be scared to ask. I love giving back too. I know as a kid growing up, I used to just hammer people. They'll probably go, listen, McCartney, you're annoying me. You just keep asking questions. And right now, I want to give back. When I was a kid, the amount of people that helped me out, didn't charge me a cent, used to pick me up, drive me to comms, all that stuff. I can't thank them enough. And, mate, I want to give back. So, any way that I can help anybody out, don't hesitate messing with me. But I've lost count. Just the amount of people, the love and support that have sent me messages, I can't thank them enough. But a lot of people have asked me for advice. And I'm trying to help them out to the best of my ability. But before I do go, I do want to just give a shout out to my sponsors. I wouldn't be here without my sponsors. and the support. Obviously, this is not a cheap exercise for me to come over here, so I do want to give a shout out to obviously the Comics Lounge, Good Things Nightclub, All Star Pool Tables, and Desire to Sketch. Without basically the support, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, just a massive shout out to those guys also.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, mate. And I think you are helping out all of Australia just by taking your chances and going over there and doing us all proud. And no doubt we'll all be supporting you in September again.
No worries. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
mate.
Guys. Enjoy.